Okay, we've got a few others here. So, all right, so that's English. Let's talk about the expansion out to a total of 10 languages. So this is the paper that I was getting to early on. So actually the paper, I don't know if I have it here cited properly. So the first paper was just about English, and that was in PLOS One, and Isabel Klauman was the lead author of that. So she did her undergrad here and then went to Cornell, worked with Strogatz and Kleinberg, I've talked about in these courses, and is now at Facebook in the data science team and is doing cool things because someone has to do good things at Facebook. Oh, right. Uganda, do you know him as well? Do you know that whole?
Not the whole. I knew two people in Strogatz.
Right, Isabel, yeah.
Yeah, actually, and I took a class with her brother doing UVM.
Where did you take?
Last year at UVM
with her brother?
Yeah.
When was that?
Last semester.
Oh, awesome. That's good. Yeah. Yes. Okay. I know. Let me tell you. Have you read my paper? So that's cool. That's really cool. She's now in New York actually, and I guess I don't know. Her mother was telling me the other day she's going to be on some televised big Facebook, like the Apple thing, whatever. They're going to. I don't know what she's going to be presenting some new thing they're doing. I don't know what it is. So we'll see. Okay, so I'm sorry about that machine. Okay, we got good buzz. All right, this is bragging. So the altmetric score was that, but it went up a little bit higher. It's not the highest one ever, but it ranked well, right? So people got sort of excited about it. Doesn't mean it's a good article, right? The most talked about article in PNAS ever is the Facebook emotional contagion paper, which has been, compared to like Nazi Germany behavior. Just really, really not good. Which we're trying to create a data ethics course discussion thing, and that's Danforth, and maybe Randall Harp from philosophy wants to do it as well. So that would be, Exhibit A. Absolutely, unbelievably bad. So that's the most talked about one ever. But if you go and look at the news for it, it's like, these people are evil, these people are evil, these people are evil, right? I mean, the headlines are all disastrous. Okay, but it's a good article. Okay, so let's line them up. So this is where our story can kind of be taken the wrong way if it gets out into the press, and we were worried about that. I don't know what to do with that thing. So this is an ordering of all of these histograms, and all of them we have 5,000 words. So we've taken the 5,000 words. Let me explain what we have. We have 24 corpora over 10 languages, right? So again, you can't just take a language and say, here are the most commonly used words. You have to scope some text. So we have a real mixture. We had English, as you saw, that have 4 of them. And these are then ordered by the median of the average happiness scores. So that's the red line that's tracing through it down to here. That's the median. These are the deciles that are tracing through it, so you can sort of see if they kind of go in or out. But these are, again, the deciles like we had in the jellyfish plots. Yes, there are 9 of them. And you can see there's a yellow blob that's bigger than the gray blob, right? And generally all of them. So all of them have a positive bias. And this is, again, we could do more and more and more, of course, but this is a pretty good spread. So we have Indonesian for Twitter, and then we have Indonesian for movie subtitles, right? These are quite different things. For French, we have Google Books. We have there's another French one. Where's the other French one? Twitter, right? Yeah. And so on, right? And in Chinese, we just had Google Books. Chinese was a little difficult to work with, but we end up with this one. Korean, we have a couple. Right, so we could expand them. So, is there a big story here? Well, it's a very second or third order kind of thing here, which is that there is some rough ordering of things. The big story is that they're all they're all positive, right? And I mean, I certainly had people, as I was alluding to before, saying, oh, well, Russian's going to be negative, or German's going to be negative, or whatever, depending on who they were or where they were from. And I was like, okay. People tell you a lot once you get into social phenomena. You know, you just mention a few things, and they're like, well, in my family, you know, and you're like, that's not what we're talking about. But please go on. I mean, yesterday, right, so Gary King's talking about the effect of news, and what they actually did was an experiment where they essentially inserted news stories in a way into these outlets that were moderate in size, 50,000 maybe subscribers, not that big, right? And by inserted, that sounds a little rough, but the thing is, and of course there's this great conflict, right, where of course journalists want to have complete freedom, and also the experimenters want to have complete freedom. But it took many years to sort this sort of thing out. But they would basically say, you know, we would like you to write about this topic to a number of outlets out of 11. They would always choose 2 to 5. And then they would go and do it, right? And then, so they have to be hands off at that point. And there was all this sort of good stuff they did with the experiments. But they were able to show apparently that just on average 3 of these smallish kind of outlets talking about something, well, you know, writing an article about something, and then you know, doing all this stuff, putting it online and whatever, could lead to a 60% more discussion about that on Twitter, which is the thing. 60% more discussion about not just that, but about the broader policy that was part of. So it was a very, for the media, it was a very sort of positive result that journalism matters. Of course, it goes both ways. But what was I going to say? I wanted to say something about, I've lost my train of thought. I was going to say something about that. That was a bit complicated there. All right, so let's see if I come back to it. Okay. Right, so that's this ordering. So people looked at this, and we did get a couple of articles that said Spanish is the happiest thing, you know, language in the world. Chinese, like this was in Science magazine actually. Couldn't believe this. Spanish is the happiest, Chinese not so much. You know, it was a real clickbait kind of headline, and it was a real misinterpretation. There was one from Korea that said Korea is miserable. So we didn't want that to happen, and it's not but you know, it's hard to control these things. But generally speaking, that's not how it was covered. What was I trying to say? That seemed an incredible effect, by the way, I thought. It seemed a lot, yeah. All right, so that's an ordering there. It's true that Spanish and Portuguese, Brazilian Portuguese, and this is Brazilian Portuguese and Mexican evaluated Spanish were at the top. But you do see some variation, right? So Russian here, Russian here, Russian here. They're not all in the same box. You know, maybe these, as I said, are sort of second or third order things. I mean, maybe it is true that there really is more variation. If you look at this is ordered now by overall variance, not the you know, how positive it is. This is by overall variance, and so you see Portuguese Twitter and Spanish Twitter. They're up the top. That's just yelling about sports. Maybe. So passion, right? So that you could see where that story could go. But that's, you know, again, generally these are, this is a rough, messy thing to measure, as we've seen, you know, people don't agree on the words in the middle necessarily. But the overall story, yeah, okay, it's good. Right, so these are the more closed-in ones down here, at least in terms of the evaluation. And you can say, well, I mean, but we are measuring a social aspect of happiness here, right? It's like people have written these things, these are how people are perceiving them. So it's not just about what's in one person's heads, it's in what's in 2 people's heads.